Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Sacred She Soul Sessions. I am joined today by the beautiful Courtney Faye Maguire. I love it extra because we share the same middle name. She is a chronic illness warrior. She is a dog mom. She does spiritual empowerment coaching. She has so many cool things on the go, so I won't share it all. I'll let Courtney tell you a little bit more about herself and who she is. So yeah, Courtney, if you want to tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, thanks Jenna for having me today. I'm super excited about this. Yes, I am a wife, a mom of three awesome fur babies, and I'm also a full-time medical assistant. But on the side, I like to do an empowerment, coaching, turning negatives into positives. Um, Through life, we all go through things that may not be, it's not always cupcakes and orgasms, right? So we all go through things like, for instance, my parents were divorced when I was 13. I was super close to my mom who got remarried and moved away, which was very traumatic for me. I At the age of 18, I got a virus, which is called Bell's palsy, and it paralyzed the right side of my face. So that's something that I've had to kind of overcome and get out of the victimhood of why did this happen to me? Because obviously I know what I used to look like prior, and then
Right.
it was change. So learning to cope with the changes that do happen in life that may not be desirable, but you have to go through it and you have to really dig down deep and know that you're here for more than just those things.
Yes.
Did we freeze? I think I'm frozen.
Oh, you're here.
Okay, good. So yeah, so many things that I have learned to do and to overcome those feelings and really go down deep. And it's beautiful when you can do that. Very powerful when you know that you're worth more than what you've gone through. So my side biz, the Blooming Lotus, the lotus actually grows from mud. So it's like us, right? We all come from mud, come from a path, and you grow into this beautiful flower because of it. So that's kind of what I'm all about, and turning those negative feelings into something positive and growing from where you've come from.
I love that so much. So many people get trapped in this cloud of negativity where something happens to them or circumstances or it's been illnesses or so many different areas, but so many people feel totally trapped with whatever negative experience that they're going through right now. So I love your story because you've had a lot of different things that would really bog people down and certainly wouldn't be stepping into their power the way you have. So I think a lot of people would find value in hearing some of the ways that you can flip a negative into a positive mindset, and do the things that you're doing and living the life that feels good to you and not being down on circumstances that have happened in your life. What would be some of your top experiences that have led you forward to kind of overcome these negatives that have happened for you?
So I've noticed when I start to get into that kind of victimhood where I feel bad for myself or I feel upset or, going through old pictures and it just kind of gets you down, music is huge for me. Music is like a huge outlet. So if
Yeah.
there's a song that you know that instantly lifts your vibe, definitely turn that song on. Music is kind of my groundwork for my very first concert that I went to was a Dave Matthews concert, and I noticed like the atmosphere and the way everybody was so free and just listening, like we were all there together, feeling this vibe and just moving with the music, and that's kind of what started my awakening and my, okay, I can feel good. I don't have to be stuck in something. There are ways to feel good. So definitely music is a huge outlet for me. Also, with getting into the spiritual side of things, I'm really starting the awakening of knowing that there is a source and a
Mm.
something that's greater than I am. And it really is helping me to know that I am more than just this physical being here on this earth in this lifetime. There's more to me. There's a soul there, and I feel that meditation is huge for that because you just really go in tune with yourself, and you really find this beautiful balance of, um, working with your, um, you know, with your inside and getting all of that out. So um,
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
When you do meditation, I'm just curious, what kind of meditation do you find works best for you?
So I do a lot of guided, very not always long either. There sometimes I just sit with myself at my desk, even at work, and I go into this, place of where I feel safe, like my third eye. I definitely go into my third eye a lot to where it's my safe space. I allow what enters there. I allow the feelings, the people, all of that. That's my decision. So I go to my third eye a lot, and it's a beautiful place to me to where I don't like to use the word escape, but just go and I'm in charge of my feelings. So, yeah, definitely. I don't do any kind of, I mean, I have, but the meditations I just sometimes just do really quick just to get in tune, back in tune with myself, really.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Just getting back in tune and kind of pulling yourself out of that human experience for a minute, I think, and just pausing and, like you said, going into more of that soul-centered space. For some of the women that are listening, I know a lot of us are familiar with the chakras, but how would you describe, like, I totally understand going into that safe place, and I think a lot of us can relate. And so when you say going into your third eye, for women that aren't too familiar yet with the chakras, what do you mean by that?
So, my third eye, I always picture it as going inward, and it is my, like I said, safe space to where, for instance, mine is out in amongst Mother Nature. I love Mother Nature. It's huge to me, and so my space is out in Mother Nature amongst the trees, dancing freely and just being with myself and really being in flow. And it's sacred to me. And that's my space. Like I said, I have the power, or I have the decision on who and what comes into that space. So it's really beautiful to escape. And a lot of times I escape there when I listen to certain songs as well. And I'm able to just kind of like, okay, everything's okay. This is where I escape to.
Yes. I love that. I love too that you said sacredness and almost control in a sense, because I think in our human body, we're always trying to control everything. Even if we're not trying to control other people, we're trying to control the outcome, we're trying to control our experiences, our expectations. So when you can go into that space, like to me, it sounded very safe, very grounding. And it doesn't even, like you said, it doesn't even necessarily have to be meditative in the sense of closing your eyes on a meditation pillow for an hour. It can be going out into nature and dancing, but it's where you're removing yourself and just allowing yourself to flow freely and really channel. Like our third eye is a women's power center. So when you're going into there, you can feel really safe, really empowered. So it doesn't have to be one particular thing, I don't think, right, Courtney? You can be dancing, you can be meditating, you can be going for a walk in nature, but you can really almost step away from those negative experiences, I think, in a sense, when you go into that safe place, so that when you come back to it, you can almost look at it with a different perspective and with fresh eyes and not maybe as much emotional attachment as when you don't do those things, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
that makes so much sense. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it. It's so powerful. And so what other kinds of things have you done? Like if we go back a little bit more before, your type of awakening that a lot of us are hearing that call, we're stepping a little bit more into our spiritual self, but before you were really into this sort of stuff and you had this diagnosis, you had the virus, you've had some childhood stuff. How do you find when you first got into this that it helped you with getting over the negatives? Like, did you go right into meditation, or have you learned some other things along the way that helped you step away from those into more of a positive mindset?
Right. So yes, definitely. Prior to, it was very slow learning. Like I'm like, okay, I know that this is a feeling that I have, but I want to really delve into it more. Like, what is this feeling that I'm feeling, to where I don't have to cry every day, or I don't have to find like, a way just to, there's more ways to free and unleash and release those feelings, rather than
Yes.
the victimhood that I was stuck in, to where woe is me and why did this happen to me and nobody loves me. And really, it was, I had to learn that it was about loving myself first. I really had to be okay with spending time with myself, being alone, knowing that I would be my friend if I wasn't me, So stuff like that, to where I really had to dig down deep and say, okay, you have to love yourself first before you can really tap into this sort of sacredness. Because if there's a block there and you don't love yourself, then you're just, you're going to be stuck. You're not going to be able to spread your light. And I've found with me spreading my light and being a light in this world, that it also lifts my vibe. So it's like a circle, to
Yeah.
where, I'm loving myself, and then I'm giving it to others, which in turn makes me happy, which makes me love myself. So it's a huge circle when you can actually come out of that victimhood and realize that you are so much more and you're worth more than what has happened to you. That does not have to define you, and it does not have to be you. You are here for a purpose, and it might not be what you think is your purpose at
Yeah.
this moment in time, but that
Totally.
your destiny, and you just have to really start. It starts with you, and it starts with loving yourself and knowing that you're pretty badass, and not in a like a way of being oh, like condescending or like better than,
Totally.
but really
Love
know
your
it.
I love your description of self-love because a lot of people throw that term around. Like I always think of Sundays as self-love Sundays and really making sure I do something for myself that day. And I love when people really define self-love because it gets thrown around of, oh, just do some more self-love stuff. You'll feel better. Things will get better. So I love the way you've broken that down because it is a circle. There is so much more. It's way more of a holistic thing and an energy than it is just
Yeah.
love yourself more. Because for a lot of people that have been criticizing themselves and having negative thoughts about themselves and their experiences through their entire life, it's not always easy to love ourselves. So it really does make that difference to start looking at it in a different way and doing it step by step by step. Just because you want to love yourself doesn't mean the next day you're going to wake up and those negative thoughts are going to go away. But like you said, it's when you start to think of it in a different perspective of if I weren't me, I would be my friend. Like I love that. And I think there's so much to be said about self-worth and wanting to be our friend before we want to be someone else's friend because it teaches us and helps us to be friends with other people in a different energy.
Exactly. Yes, I love that. Yeah, and I've also noticed shifting those energies as well, negative to positive, changing, like if you notice you have people in your tribe, or you have people that you're around that constantly have a negative thing to say, or they're constantly negative, you have to learn to kind of get away from that as well, and change your circle into where you see the self-love of other people who have, this fire inside of them, and they're really wanting to help others and really wanting to love themselves. And I think getting finding those people and becoming friends and acquaintances with those type of people really also help,
Yeah.
because if you have somebody over here that's always like, well, life sucks, that's really gonna get you down. And there's so many times where we just need to say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm here for you, but I can't be around that energy, because it's not working.
That's so true. And I think a lot of us get that attachment that we have to keep people in our lives that maybe aren't aligned with us anymore. And some relationships are easier than others. I was just talking with a friend this morning about how she was having a lot of guilt and issues going on around letting go of some people that she's identified that they're negative and they're not serving her greater good. They're not aligning anymore. And she's just feeling really bad because she honored the fact that they weren't meant to be really in her life actively anymore, but then she's still really struggling with the letting go of that relationship. And what we were talking about when we chatted this morning was the power of being okay with someone going from a forever friend to blessing and releasing and looking at what did you learn from having that friend, and then also too that it's okay to have someone where maybe you guys were best pals in university and you hung out and then things have changed it. Like you've just grown apart. And it's okay that maybe that person now becomes a 2 minute friend where you just catch up from time to time. Or maybe when you're in town, you go for lunch. It doesn't mean you have to directly surround yourself with these people. If anyone's watching right now and you've heard that you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, or the things that you're most influenced by. So for a lot of us, that's social media, our friends, our family. So when you look really close at those 5 things that you're spending the most time with, chances are you are made up of those 5 things because you're being influenced by them. And our influences are what create our thoughts, which create our feelings, which then create our actions and our reality. So when we're looking at that from kind of an outside perspective, it really shows us that who we surround ourselves with really makes an impact. So if you're having a lot of negatives and you're feeling like super bogged down, from my experience, as you start to shed these people, and this doesn't mean that you're better than those people or anything at all like that, it just means maybe you're not aligned anymore. And if you're feeling unaligned in that relationship, chances are they are too. So it's kind of having that strength to acknowledge that and not get too latched on to the story creation of what maybe once was, I think, because I see it as creating space for women, like the women I've met in this group and in other social media groups, women like Courtney, who can hold space for me and the vibration that I'm currently on as we continue to grow together. So it's, I think, just so powerful to be connecting with those like minded people and holding space to actually have those people in our lives and not filled up with just negative people.
Yes, yes, exactly. And that's what, like, it's, and I think it's beautiful creating friendships. Like, we found each other, and I think it's so funny, our middle name's Faye, and we're like, hey, like, those things are beautiful. And that in turn lifts your vibe because you're like, okay, this person gets me, and this person gets it. And we're very open, and it's so beautiful when you do find those relationships. Um,
Yes.
it all comes also back to choices. I mean, overall we choose who we want in our life, who what feelings we want. I mean, it's within our power. We can
Mm-hmm.
choose those things. I choose to not let this and this define me and get me down. I choose to rise above it. So I think that's a beautiful mantra, to start off your day with, like, I choose to be better than this. I choose to make this day wonderful. I choose to overcome this obstacle. And so I think that's beautiful because it ultimately is our choice to have this beautiful life that is right at our fingertips. And with journaling, or I love dancing around my kitchen. If I'm cleaning my house and their song comes on, I just dance around my kitchen and instantly I feel better, right? Like,
Yes.
there's so many different ways to take those negative feelings and like get it out in a positive way because it's energy. So if you can take that negative energy and get it out into the universe as a positive, that's when you're really going to start noticing the bliss and the happiness because you're releasing those endorphins. Essential oils, just you know um, diffusing certain essential oils can lift your vibe. There's so many different ways to take those negative things that come up because, and they will, it's life, right? We all are climbing our own mountains and getting over things, but it's
Yeah.
how you get over those instances that's really gonna get your juices flowing and open doors for you, and you start manifesting and you get all into that, and it's
Yes.
ultimately a choice that you get to make, which is so beautiful.
I think there's a lot to be said too with the fact that yes, we do have choice. Sometimes when negative things happen or they feel like they're happening to us and not for us, we get so caught in feeling powerless, and that's when we end up in that victim mindset and we're feeling trapped. We feel like, how do we get out of this? And everything just feels 10 times more negative than the situation was to begin with. So when we feel like we have choice, and I think choice is just like how you described it. Choice means we're going to circulate that energy and be mindful of that and not just let it stagnate, because energy does like to move. It likes to be circulated. Whether we're thinking of energy like negative energy that's come up from a situation or money circulation or anything, it's all about circulating the energy and keeping it flowing. So if you're feeling negative, I find one of the best ways to overcome it is, like Courtney is saying, is just to get moving, get the energy moving. So get dancing, do an activity that you like, but more play, more fun is a great way to feel like you have choice, because you just chose to have some fun and bring some positivity back in, that it suddenly will make that negative seem less, that it's not overcomable, because it totally is overcomable. And sometimes we get stuck feeling like we're powerless, and we always have a choice.
Yes, we most certainly do. And it's beautiful. It's really a beautiful thing when you can realize your power, realize your magic, and start opening those doors of a more blissful, peaceful, awesome life to where you can go through it, not just being a physical body, but you are this light, you are this soul, and you attract that. Your vibe attracts your tribe affects your vibe type deal, like you
Yeah.
start really getting all of that, and you're just gonna, it's not all, like I said, it's not always gonna be cupcakes and orgasms. Stuff will come, stuff will rise, and you just have to know that you're worth more than the negative. And it comes from appreciation. I appreciate those things that happen to me because help me grow and become who I am today. So have to appreciate the negative. You have to have the darkness to have the light, right? So you have to have all of this to really blossom and become this beautiful, soul entity being. Um, and it just comes from appreciation for me too.
Absolutely. Yeah, just appreciating where we're at on our journey. And yeah, there are going to be ups, there are going to be downs. And that's what I like acknowledging too with women as well, is there is so much fun to be had with being a light worker and being into all this woo woo and the spiritual stuff and the personal development. But there is something to be said about our shadow side and working through the dark stuff, because we're all human as fuck. We all have circumstances. We all have things getting thrown at us that are unexpected, because we want to control our outcome and we never know what the future is, but we try to. And these negatives come up. So there's so much to be said about just going with that and kind of surrendering into it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear, Courtney, as well. What are your top couple book recommendations? I know you love reading. I know you love journaling and getting into all this stuff. So can you recommend, like, while you've been on this journey, what are the top couple of books that you've really had some takeaways from?
Yeah. So I'm currently on Rise, Sister Rise.
Great book.
I know, isn't that, it's a great book. I also was reading, I have it right here, Leading Women by Nancy O'Reilly. Is very coming into um, us as, the divine feminine rising up, and how we can help each other along the way and really build each other up, and like with speaking and, speaking our truth. And even if you are like a CEO of a company, or it's just really about leading women into their power and realizing their power. And because I feel like we've kind of been suppressed for so long, that we are all coming together and like, okay, that we're worth more, and we do have the capability of being, successful and awesome. And so, yeah, those are definitely top two so far that I've really gotten into.
I love that. I've read the first book, one of my favorite books. I love Rebecca Campbell. I have not read the second book, but I love her message. I'm going to have to read it as well because I love the idea of women coming together. Like that's what these live casts are all about. That's what connecting is really all about is there's more than enough energy to go around. It's just attracting your tribe and coming together and supporting each other because women have been suppressed for so long and women have felt like they don't have maybe a voice and maybe that's getting applied in their business job and they don't feel confident in themselves to speak up to their boss, or maybe it's in your relationship, or maybe you're seeing in all the areas of your life. But the truth is that every woman, every sister has that power within them to go inside and feel empowered to flip whatever negative is coming their way into more of a positive, even if that positive means that you're learning something from it on your journey. Because if we're not learning, I really feel like we're essentially dying because we're all here for a purpose. We don't necessarily know right away what that is, but the more and more you're learning, I think the closer and closer you're getting to that. And to me, like that is fulfillment, is getting closer to why I'm even here and finding like-minded people to connect with along the way that get it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Courtney, before we wrap up, can you just tell me, like, where is it best for people to follow you? Is it Facebook, your website? Like, what do you have going on right now, just so we can keep everyone in touch with you as well?
Yeah, so on Facebook, it's called the Blooming Lotus, and it's just a group that I do a lot of empowerment, prompts, and really living in your truth and speaking your truth, and um, going over like how to turn the negatives into positives. And yes, the Blooming Lotus, it is a Facebook group or a page. And I do have a website. It's on there as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. So, ladies that are watching, I haven't had a chance really to say hi, but let's just see. So we've got Keverly, we've got Allie, Julie. Hi, everyone. Let us know before we wrap up here in a sec if you have any questions about any of this or comments and you want to chip in before we wrap it up. But if you're catching the replay of this or the podcast of it, still feel free to comment, reach out, let us know if this resonates with you. Get in touch with Courtney because we love growing our friend tribes of like-minded women as well. So it's always nice to stay in touch with everyone. And yeah, let's just keep growing the sisterhood in terms of connecting with like-minded women and empowering each other, whatever that looks like, because that is totally what it is all about. And yeah, I want to thank you so much, Courtney, for coming on today because that was a beautiful message. I know I got a lot from it because there is always negatives to overcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun. Yes, I also have a workbook too, a mini workbook. It kind of goes over like the three the meditation, the movement, and it really just kind of goes over how to really, and journaling. I have journal prompts on all those. I go into that more. So yeah, there's so many tools at your fingertips that you have and you're worthy of them all. So, and I know that. I know that you all are fantastic, wonderful women and people, and we're worthy of bliss, happiness, awesomeness together. So thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to connecting with more like-minded women.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and taking time out of your Sunday morning to hop on with us. And thank you everyone that just caught this on the live. We'll go through the comments here in a sec. And thank you so much. I want to wish everyone an amazing Self-Love Sunday, Soulful Sunday. Make sure you do something for you today, okay, ladies? And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.